Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as per usual, let's go over the market, let's go over Tesla, let's figure out what has been happening with Tesla and what, of course, we can expect, moving into, next week really. So with all that being said and done, as per usual, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button as it does help a lot. This is not financial advice and I am not a financial advisor. And of course, my membership section on YouTube is live. The link is down below for just $2.99 a month in the description of the video. You get access to all my posts, updates, thoughts, technical analysis, options flow updates, which is a paid service for Cheddar Flow. The link is down below as well for 25% off. But yeah, if you're interested, again, the link is down below, guys. Check it out. I appreciate it. But nonetheless, let's just jump into it. I'm not a financial advisor. I can't remember if I said that or not, but yeah, let's just go into it. So Tesla closing the day down ever so slightly. Let me open up TradingView because it shows me what it was. Because right now this is like kind of updating with post-market involved as well. Well, it's not sending me to TradingView here. Down about 0.2%, 0.24%, nothing too bad, right? Especially compared to the market. The market down, SPY half a percent. QQQ almost a full percentage on, down on the day. Tesla holding up pretty well. I think we can all agree, right? You even have like things like Apple and Google down like 1%, 1.5%, Meta 2%, right? Et cetera, Microsoft even more so. So yeah, all things considered, pretty decent day for Tesla, holding up respectably, absolutely respectably. Now, pretty simple day though. In all honesty, like nothing too crazy happened today, right? Today was more of like a simple day, and what I mean by that is, so yesterday we had obviously the massive breakout, right, above the head and inverted head and shoulders pattern. And today what happened was, well, we talked about yesterday how there's a potential that we either, rocket up to the gap fill around 207 to 210, give or take, of course, right? Or, we kind of maybe go sideways, maybe go down first to retest the inverted head and shoulders, or maybe at the very least the 21 EMA, and then we go upwards, right? Something like that of the sorts, right? Well, that's kind of what happened today, right? Obviously, it was one of those two things should happen. It's just a matter of which one, really. But they overall, ultimately, in my opinion, result in a very similar overall, end result, right? So in this case, we obviously came down and almost like to the perfection retested this yellow line here, which of course is that 21 EMA, almost to the T. Like you really couldn't ask for a more perfect retest of it after the breakout, and so far holding pretty decently too, right? I wouldn't say it's the most convincing holding in the entire world. Looks like Tesla's up a little bit post-market. Let's just double check that, right? I wouldn't say it's the most convincing holding in the entire world, and the only reason I say that is mainly because we did close below yesterday's close, right? So that's that's the only part I'm a little bit unhappy about, I guess. It would have been even better if we did close above yesterday's close, so essentially green, right? That would have been ideal, at least in my opinion. But not that bad regardless. So far, turning this breakout of the 21 EMA, which again hasn't happened since we initially broke down from it all the way back in January 2nd, right? Happy New Year, everybody. And then we had that massive trend down. And now we're officially back above it, and so far turning it into a support, and that's exactly what you want to be seeing. Now, with that being said, right, like I said the other day, I do expect some overall consolidation in this area. I know people said there's low volume in this area, and they're absolutely right. There is, fairly low volume in this area, but to me, all that means that doesn't mean we can't consolidate there. All that means is that any moves up and down through this area will be more aggressive potentially. You know what I mean? Like, maybe we go up really aggressively up to like 210 roughly, and then we come back pretty aggressively back down to the lower levels like 195 to 200. You know what I mean? You can have a little bit more aggressive moves like that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't consolidate there either, because we obviously consolidated back here. So for instance, if I take this and move it all the way back here, it'll give us the volume of that area as well, and now suddenly the volume is much higher. So it really depends on how far back you're looking at the overall volume traded within that area, because you can move this anywhere you really want to kind of fit the narrative sometimes, really. But ultimately what people usually do is they probably go from like the overall recent move, so something like this, of course, which then gives us a more recent history of the volume profile there. But nonetheless, again, the way I look at it is, so far we're turning all resistances into support. And again, I still wouldn't be super surprised if, yeah, maybe we do come down to a little bit lower. Maybe we do come down to about 195-ish, of course, to truly retest this inverted head and shoulders, right? Just a beautiful retest of this inverted head and shoulders. We are starting to approach potentially oversold territories on the 4-hour chart, the 65. We're starting to set up a bit of bearish divergences. Same with the 15-minute chart. Though the 15-minute had a nice reset. Remember how I said you don't have to necessarily go down to reset things like the RSI? Well, this is a pretty decent example as to what I mean by that on the 15-minute chart. We really, we were overbought as we entered this area, pretty much right around 202, and we're just $2 under that, right? It's hardly anything, but beautiful reset so far on the RSI, right? That's kind of what I mean by that, right? Where you don't have to necessarily literally just straight up crash almost, you know what I mean, to reset such things. Same thing applies to the 65-minute chart. Same thing applies to the 4-hour chart. They'll just take longer, for instance, right? For instance, if we just do the same thing that we saw on the 15-minute chart, which is just go sideways, same thing, just for a longer period of time, not just, you know, a day, right? Maybe a week or something like that. So take that into consideration too. Now, the one thing I will note, of course, is going to be on the 15-minute chart, as I'm sure you can see here. We are potentially setting up, you know, what looks to be a bull flag, right? A little bit of a bull flag, right? Massive rally, of course, you know, some consolidation here, and then a very obvious rally. You can even argue the pivot point is from all the way down here of around 182. Easily make this argument that this is where the bull flag really started, right? But, you know, I think it's safer to say that the bull flag truly started somewhere around here, because this is where we really start to break out. Some people might even argue the fact that the bull flag truly only started from, can't even move this thing, from all the way over here. That's also, you know, potentially, you know, an argument that you can make, that it only really started from down here. But nonetheless, the point I'm trying to make here is, regardless, we're setting up what looks to be a little bit of a bull flag on the 15-minute chart, which should be what overall, in my opinion, at least takes us to, you know, 207, 210, maybe as high as 212. But I don't think we'll go much higher than that just yet. I do expect some consolidation, right? I don't expect this move to just rally us up aggressively the way we fell. It could, you never know for sure. But if I had to take a, you know, guess, if you will, or my prediction, if you will, would be the fact that, you know, we do come up to the gap fill roughly between, again, 207-ish to, in my opinion, as high as 212. And the reason I say 212 is because you can see over here, right? This is where the old support came in that we, you know, bottomed off of over here, right? And then, you know, this area did turn into a bit of support and resistance. And even when we were downtrending, we did stop at this area, right? This 212-ish area with these candles right here. You can see we stopped and kind of danced around. Then we kind of broke down a little bit. Then we still danced around, but this time we turned it into a resistance, right? Support here, resistance here, all around that, you know, 212-ish area. So that's why I don't expect this move to just rocket past these just right away. I do expect some consolidation, not a super long consolidation, but at the very least like a week, I would say, give or take, honestly. That really wouldn't shock me, where, again, all we really do is essentially just kind of go sideways, like just kind of just zigzag within this area for about a week or so, give or take, right? And then from there, I think we'll ultimately set up a much larger looking bull flag on, you know, the daily, potentially the 4-hour potentially as well, you know what I mean? And I think from there is when the breakout will happen. The RSI, for instance, has a chance to kind of cool off a little bit. The MACD, you know, a little bit of a cool off, kind of, you know, relax a little bit, kind of prepare for that next movement. But the overall picture looks bullish for the short to potentially medium term on Tesla, for a very simple reason. I mean, I don't know how you can potentially look at this chart and not think that this is short to potentially medium term bullish. Like, I can't see how you can not see that, right? Remember back here, we were talking about how the MACD started crossing bullish. Well, obviously that's been following through pretty well, right? RSI above 50 now, showing some, you know, very nice and healthy signs of life, which is great to see, right? We're above the 21 EMA. We executed so far, I mean, we're executing now, in the process of executing the inverted head and shoulders. We did the most important part, which is break the neckline, which we did yesterday. That, again, I wouldn't be surprised if we come down to 195 to potentially truly retest that, but we don't have to. We got pretty close to it today on the 21 EMA. That might be enough. You never know. But again, it is a possibility. I have some cash secure puts sold for 195 for next Friday. In case we do, then hey, I'll be happy to buy some shares there. If not, I have some sold calls as well for next Friday, sitting at pretty much 212.5. Right, because I do expect this overall place to zigzag, and if we go down to 195, I'll buy. If we go back above 212 this fast, I'll sell. It's fine, and I'll reset, and I'll, you know, look for the next opportunity, of course, within Tesla. That's just the way I'm looking at it right now. I could be wrong. We could just collapse even further. We could just rocket even further. I just don't expect it to happen just yet, right? But ultimately, I think Tesla looks great. Beautiful, you know, breakout, like I said. Beautiful change of structure, because now, you know, officially we are now setting, you know, higher low over here, and now we're setting a very obvious higher high, right? It's looking not too bad. It's hard to look at this and say it's bearish. Again, you know, take it with a grain of salt, because again, the weekly time frame, even though we have a pretty nice looking weekly candle today, nice looking weekly candle last week, looking some, you know, like some pretty nice bottom signals here. And I think overall, over the next few weeks, I really would not be too surprised if we do come up to, at the very least, 220, which is where that 200 moving average is on the weekly, to potentially 230, right? Maybe even the 230s, which is where that 200-day move, or 200-day moving average on the daily chart is. Which, of course, if I go back to the daily, you can see it's all the way back here, or up here rather, this little green line, right? And I do expect a retest of that. Like, my main target, honestly, overall, probably sometime in early March, maybe even. early to mid-March, I would say, is 230. I really think 230 is on the cards. I really, really do believe that because, again, very, very strong area of support here and in the past, right? But especially over here, like we really, really showed some pretty substantial support over here before we did rocket up even further. And then when we fell back down, you know, we did stop there for a little bit, as you can see here, right? This general area, we did stop for, you know, about a week, honestly, if not even slightly more than a week here. It's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 6 candles there, right? So just over a week. Before we continue down even further. So that combined with the 200-day moving average being at pretty much 230, like I really do expect us to come back and retest that. The big question, of course, will be, do we break through it or not? I don't know yet. We'll see. We'll come to it when it comes to it, right? No reason to predict that far out just yet, but just keep in mind there is still potential. This is nothing more than just a retest, potential retest of this breakdown that we had of this massive, massive wedge on the weekly that I talked about many times, right? Could just be a massive, massive retest of this wedge. So, you know, that is still potential bearish catalyst, if you will. But again, I do expect us to come up to there within the next few weeks to retest that general range. Now, again, with that being said, though, there is the potential this turns very bullish because, you know, we're still in this bull flag and there is a potential that we come up, you know, again, over the next probably few weeks to maybe a couple months even, to the top of this channel one more time, right? This bull flag one more time, which will pretty much sometime in maybe March or something like that bring us to about 230s to maybe even as high as 250s. That's a bit of a stretch. That's a little bit of, you know, optimism in my opinion, but not impossible. And if we do ever break above really 250, in my opinion, on the weekly chart, it's looking good. I think Tesla's looking phenomenal, and I think it'll continue to rally pretty substantially for the rest of the year, or, you know, from whenever it actually does happen. But, you know, again, keep in mind, there is still some signs of concern for the bulls. Just, I think for now, the coast is clear, you know, for the short term, but we are going to be entering some potentially heavy territory of resistance. So, you know, something to pay attention to overall, right? We're not out of the woods just yet. Let's just say that, right? There's still some work to be done, but again, short term, looking pretty darn good. Taking a look at the flow very quickly here. Overall, bullish flow overall, right? Obviously some bearishness coming in here and there. Let's filter it back to 100K over here. And ultimately, yeah, a lot of bullish flow coming in for Tesla. There was a lot of, let me see if I can find it within 2 weeks, let's say. Expiry within 2 weeks. We'll do like this. Or actually, what if I do within 1 week? Does it do like just today? Yeah, it does today. So I have to do 2 weeks. So we'll do 2 weeks here, right? And you can see there's gonna be, let me go and filter this by expiration as well. There's a lot of calls that came in for next Friday, right? A lot of calls came in for next Friday, a lot of calls, right? You can see all of this is for next Friday. All of these calls, and some puts, of course, but a lot more calls than puts, are all for next week. So there's a lot of people, especially over here, you can see, and these came in pretty late in the day. Some of them, right? Like this one came in at 3:14, 3:16, right? And they're decent sized one. Like this one here came out at 3:18 p.m. today for next week, 202.5 call, which is technically, yeah, it's out of the money, right? We're not at that level right now. 740 premium, $740,000 in premium, right? That's quite a bit, right? That's a lot of money. 205, 215, right? So people are betting for continuation into next week, and I do expect it, right? I do expect overall continuation. Again, worst case in my opinion right now is we pretty much come back down to 195, and as long as that holds, I think we're kind of chilling, right? Nothing to worry about, but I do expect overall continuation again, like I said, to about 207 to 210 sometime next week, and then from there I do expect some rejection and essentially consolidation to begin before we get ready for the next move up. And that's overall what I expect. Now on the 65-minute chart, you can also see over here, right, we were in this channel, right? This little rising channel, which arguably we broke out of, right? So you can see as I zoom in on this, the red line down here, we never really broke below it, right? And I'm touching as many candles as I can without any candles breaking below. And that's kind of the way I like to do it. And same over here. No, the wicks don't really matter, but you want to touch as many wicks without the candle itself closing above, ideally. And that's kind of what we see here. Same concept, right? We kept touching the top of this channel over and over and over, and every time we came up to it, we came back down. But this time we came up, kind of went sideways for a tiny bit before this candle right here broke above it, and now we've been going sideways today. But you can see effectively, potentially turning it into a support. So, that's interesting to note as well. So could be a good sign as well. So we'll see how this plays out. Again, the one concern I have for now, at least, is the fact that the 65-minute chart is overbought, right? It is setting up a bit of a bearish divergence. So that's like the only cause for concern that I can see right now that may push us to 195, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday even first, before, in my opinion, we do move up to 207 to 210. But who knows for sure, right? No one knows for sure which one will play out. But in my opinion, those are the two ranges that we'll dance between for now before we set up for the next move after that. And that's kind of what I see for now. So ladies and gentlemen, Thank you so much for watching. A lot of talking, but also don't forget Monday is a closed day for the market. So which is why today is a good day to sell some options because you get a free day of theta decay, which is always nice to see. So yeah, all that being said, thanks for watching and I'll see you on Tuesday. Peace.